passion, talent, influence.
That's what we're here to recognize.
A movement that lives right in our own backyard.
Southwest Florida.
So put your glasses up.
Let's give a toast.
Toast to the innovators.
Toast to the creators.
Toast to the go-getters.
The people who wake up every day with a passion to create.
Not for themselves, but for the benefit of the community.
A community that has no limits.
So let's kick back
and toast
to the Goodfellas. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. I'm going to say that every single time you watch one of our videos and podcasts. You know why? Because it's free. Mm-hmm. It's free of charge. It doesn't cost you a single dime, penny, nickel, whatever. All you got to do is just click that button. That's it. Just click this button right here. It's very simple. Appreciate you. What's up?
What up, man? How you doing, man?
Man.
Long time no see.
Yeah, long time. We haven't been in the studio, I think, for about 3 weeks now. 3 weeks to a month. Mm-hmm. It feels good to be back, man, honestly.
It does. We were just talking about how nice and clean it smells in here.
Yeah. Our guest Malaina, who we're going to briefly introduce, she said, is this a guy's setup here? Because it's kind of clean. And I'm like, I'm glad we're breaking the stereotype here.
Absolutely. Speaking of our guest, we do want to introduce her. So we have Malaina Mote in the building.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
She works with a project called The Mixed Aspect, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about that. But first, we kind of want to get to know who you are, where you came from, and where you live, and all that creepy stuff. We'll get all that stuff out of the way first.
Yeah, no one stalk me, please. So I guess I was born in Nantucket, Massachusetts, a really random island, and no one has ever heard of it unless you have over $1 million, apparently. So that is not me, but I was born there in a cottage. I grew up in Sarasota, Florida. Went to high school at Port Charlotte High School. I went to college at Florida Gulf Coast University, and I've been living in Fort Myers for like 8 years now.
Wow. Well, what'd you study at FGCU?
Well, I did change my major like 5 times, which everyone says you should not admit, but I feel like it's important for people to know because you have this weird presumption like you have to know exactly what you're doing. Yeah. I changed my major a lot. But I graduated with a BA in communication with a PR concentration. Awesome. So public relations.
So you seem pretty indecisive then.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's very stressful for me to be this way, but I just seemingly can't help it.
Nah, I get you. I'd be going through the same thing. Like I put so many things on my plate and I'm like, okay, I want to be an expert at this. I want to be an expert at this. And then before you know it, I burn out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's super important that you brought up that it's okay to be indecisive and not know what you want.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people put this pressure on themselves to like know everything. And in reality, you don't know nothing. And you have to go through your journey to figure out what exactly you want to.
Yes, they say it's a fool who thinks they know everything. That makes you a fool. To make you smart is to understand that you can't know everything and you won't ever know everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking about that exact same thing you just said. I'm like, okay, like how do I word it again?
There's a famous quote.
There's a famous quote with that.
I kind of butchered it a little, so please don't fact check me. Don't come for me. Y'all know what I mean.
Hey, they're Googling right now.
You're gonna get canceled.
We should just pause, wait for them to Google. All right, get back to the episode. Okay.
Leave your comments below. That helps engagement.
But correct me, please.
So tell us about the mixed aspect. Well, I just hit myself pretty hard. I don't know why.
Yeah, don't beat yourself up because they're really gonna think we
didn't sign a liability form when we came in here, bro.
Yeah, man.
Right?
Damn. So the mixed aspect. Well, I created it 3 years ago. It'll be 3 years next month, and what is basically it's about the mixed identity because I am a biracial person. My mom's white, my dad's black, and that comes with a lot of different complexities, is what I'm gonna call it. So what I noticed on Instagram was a lot of the mixed pages just like feature like beautiful mixed people. Like it's typical like beautiful mixed people. And it wasn't really like sharing our voices, or there were other pages that were kind of sharing it, but like in a comedic way where it was like more so making memes, like to make people laugh. So my best friend, Fran, she is the owner of Black Love Page. And so she really wanted me to step out into the Instagram world. I'm not very obvious, but I am a shy-natured person. I don't really like I'm not into becoming like this big social media influencer. However, I'm starting to become that because I got pushed, and I'm super happy that I did, because I'm able to connect with so many different people from all over the world, and from all types of mixtures.
That's awesome. Yeah, for sure. Like, I know I was just hanging with my dad like this week. I decided to like get a change of scenery from working from home every day. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go hang out with my dad for like the start of the week and see how things are. And like I put on a show. I think it was Key and Peele. I don't know if you ever seen Key and Peele.
That's Key and Peele.
But the very first episode, they talk about the complexities of being biracial, but they're talking about it in a comedic way because they're comedians. And immediately my dad was like, I'm tired of jokes like that. And I was
nice, I like your dad.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, Dad, I see you getting a little woke now. He's not. He's full bred Puerto Rican, so like he has no reason to think otherwise. And he's like, man, I'm tired of jokes like that. And I'm like, okay, I see you.
I think it's because today's climate too, that everything's just so into the skin color and the skin tone, where people are just kind of like tapped out on it in a way, you know. But at the same time, you know, with what you're doing, it's good to bring awareness to that, to kind of like, okay, people should kind of react like that. Like, hey, you know, I'm tired of those jokes. I'm tired of hearing that negativity, and let's all bring it back together. You know, I think we're all going through some growing pains right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's like I've really created like a healing community, and I didn't really expect it to be that. I thought, oh, you know, people like to be featured. People want to be featured all the time. So I thought that's what I was going to be getting into. But it's actually like created a channel for people to really start like healing from any type of feeling that they're alone or that nobody understands their, you know, identity struggles and that sort of thing.
So tell us about a story that you've maybe heard of on this page here that kind of, you know, gave you that aha moment that this is transcended into something more.
I think it was when like maybe a year into it, I was really thinking to stop, honestly, because it became, I struggle with consistency and like in and of itself. So I was like, maybe I should stop doing this. I don't feel like I'm putting my all into it. And I didn't post for like 3 days. And people were DMing me like, are you still here? Are you going to post? I really am I look forward to your post every day. I have my notifications turned on. Like, are you fading away and that sort of thing? So I was like, all right. Like, I got people depending on me. And one of those people were all the way in London. So I was like, all right, I need to keep this going. And there was one story in particular of a girl who was black and white, and she was struggling more on the white side. A lot of people will say, I don't identify, I'm more comfortable identifying with my minority race. So black, Asian, Hispanic, that sort of thing. And no one like really wants to identify with the white part if you are mixed with white and something else. And so it was that I would never really realize that until I posted her story. And so many people are commenting. And then it started becoming this whole thing. It's like encouraging people, like it's okay to identify as white or to include white in your mixture, because some people just didn't want to do it because they felt more comfortable identifying with their minority race.
Yeah, I actually have some white friends who are in a way kind of like in today's climate are like, you know, what am I supposed to do? Like the moment I, you know, say something that is not in favor of the other side, you know, I'm completely labeled as like a racist and a homophobe and all that, you know. And I think, you know, there's times where, you know, I think people are just getting labeled as something, you know, just because of their skin tone, you know, and I just find that very bizarre. And I feel like the media I've said this in other episodes too, how it plays the biggest role in it, you know, now, like, so how do we like, what do you think we can do to kind of be like, it's not really like that? Just because, you know, you support something doesn't mean that you're a racist because like you're white in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's all like people have to understand when people make remarks about race in particular, it's more of like a projection of pain that they're feeling inside, because race is such an easy like poke at somebody. You know, it's easy to call someone a name or make some type of insult against their race. And so like that's what people go to, especially right now, unfortunately. So if like you are finding yourself in that situation where you're being attacked, if you're white or black or brown, you just have to realize, like, take yourself out of it and realize that person is hurting. And we need to get to the bottom of that pain, or else they're going to consistently and continue go and try to hurt people that way. I think especially in the mixed aspect too, I have a lot of white moms who follow, and they're confused too, because at this point with Black Lives Matter, they want to support, they have a child that's half black or identifies as black, and they really want to understand how they can be an ally and not encourage some of the things that are going on. And I think they find a lot of salvation in the mixed community because they can ask those questions without being bombarded with, oh, why are you asking that? Are you racist? And that sort of thing. So like a lot of white people are kind of scared and they want to go to what's comfortable for them so they can ask questions like, if I say this, does that make me racist? And a lot of times they're scared to ask that because of, there's no one around that they feel comfortable asking that to.
Do you feel like anything that you've done during your times of study has helped you gain the knowledge that you've gained now in terms of this particular subject matter? Yeah,
and I do a lot of work too in my profession. So like in my professional life, I work a lot on equity and systemic racism and kind of dismantling systems that oppress people. So like on top of that, and then what I'm doing in my personal life with the mixed aspect is definitely giving me all types of perspectives. I mean, even someone who's mixed with Japanese and Korean. I mean, they're Asian, but there's a lot.
Totally different.
They're totally different, and there's a lot of arguing and a lot of like pain behind their families not getting along because it's seen as like disrespectful for their parents to have gotten together. So it's just like a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot under there.
Do you feel like we focus too much on black and white?
I think that people have to understand that race was made to separate people in and of itself. And the minute that we identify with race, we're entering our own selves into that separation. So absolutely, there's like a lot of emphasis on race and the color of your skin. And as a mixed individual, it does irritate me because I love people who are white and I love people who are black. And I can't help the way that I am. But at the same time, we have to not take that colorblind approach and act like race doesn't exist right now, because unfortunately, we're still in the very beginning of dismantling that whole idea anyway. And so we have to face race in order to get rid of it and understand that we are all part of the same human species. And it doesn't matter what color we are. There's no biological context to skin color.
Yeah, and I think right now there's a lot of cancel culture going on. And I feel like those are just growing pains in a way because, yeah, you're right. I think we're in the beginning stages of trying to completely just dismantle racism, and that's going to take a lot of time. It's not going to end tomorrow. It's not going to end next year. It's not going to end in a couple of years. It's going to probably take decades, to be honest, but we're the ones who are starting it,
Yeah.
I definitely, I agree absolutely with what you're saying in terms of the climate in itself. And I feel like it's gotten to a point where like it's starting to be that cancel culture is starting to be like a normal thing. And I think pages like the mixed aspect and other pages that give people like an open space for them to be able to talk about these issues, I think it's important to be able to highlight them because in reality, it's not normal. Like that cancel culture is not a normal thing. To label yourself as one dimensional and in lack of a better words, is not a normal thing. Everybody, in my opinion, everybody's come to this country as immigrants. And for them to be able to, ask questions about themselves, about their identity, try to figure out themselves going forward is important. And for you to, for someone to get labeled as one thing and now all of a sudden that's all they could think about, I feel like it stunts their own personal growth.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
It can absolutely increase this level of indecisiveness that we were talking about before.
Yeah, and people go through different life experiences, so they're going to have different opinions about certain topics, and we need to respect that more in a way. That's just my personal view. And for someone to just cancel me out just because I don't agree with them, it's kind of like, well, you don't know what I went through in my life to kind of debunk your argument or to be against what you believe in. And the more people I have connected with and have, really opened up to, and they've opened up to me, the more I'm understanding how life is just different for everybody. Mm-hmm. We all breathe the same air, and we just go through different phases in life, and it's okay to just think differently. I don't think you should just be as judgmental or, murder anybody, but like, if you want to have a different opinion, then it's okay, and I completely respect that. I disagree with a lot of people on a lot of things, but man, I personally will not cancel you out just because I don't see what you see in a way. I understand it, I respect it, but doesn't mean that I'm going to degrade you as a person.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you, what do you think about the notion that of getting rid of, diversity training and things of that nature out of the curriculum for school? Because I know as a communication degree holder as well, I've gone through a lot of different classes that, stem around, those different types of talks. And I've been a multicultural ambassador in the past, and I've gone through different seminars and things of that nature has helped me understand different perspectives. And I thought that it was very, useful. So I wanted to get your opinion on it.
Well, I kind of do those types of trainings, like through my profession. I talk about, like, I have open conversations with people. I co-present with someone who's white, and we have open conversations about implicit bias and structural racism. And what people have to understand is that we all are born with basic brain functions like prejudice. Like, we prejudge things, anything, we prejudge it, and implicit bias. So like what you were saying with media, if we're constantly, like, let's say if you're a little girl and your mom always watched the news and that's all you heard on evenings, over time, that's where your morals are going to start developing, and you're going to start getting these implications in your head, like, and those stereotypes start to form. So if you get rid of making people aware of that function in their brain, there's not going to be any progress, and there's never going to be any understanding around that people have differences. So because if you get rid of diversity training and understanding that all of these different people grew up with different things, different morals, different cultures, then you're not really going to allow yourself to understand that. And you're always going to think, oh, well, my way is the right way. Everyone else needs to assimilate to my reason of thinking, or they need to all come in and join what I believe. And if we get rid of that training, that's ultimately what it's going to be, and it's just going to create more divide. And I think that there are people out there that like that divide because they're benefiting from that.
From that chaos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah. It's crazy, like they want us to fight against each other because that's what's going to gain them more traction towards their platform, and it's a sick mind game.
It is. And people are being manipulated and they don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and sometimes I tell people, I'm like, man, because like I said before, everybody has different life experiences, so I'm just going to, not say everybody, but when you put your phone down, if there might be a chance that stuff isn't so bad as it makes it seem. Mm-hmm. Because I think what we're getting so mad at is everything we look at through a screen right now. The moment we put your phone down, and I'm living in the moment, I'm good. I'm like, there's nothing around me. No one is like bringing me down or, physically hurting me, mentally or emotionally hurting me. Like, I'm relaxed. Like, right now we're living in the moment. Mm-hmm. And we're having this great conversation here at EQ Recording and Multimedia, which I forgot to say at the beginning of the episode.
Nice plug.
Right. Nice. I had to plug it in. But you see what I mean? Like, stuff right now is good. We have this freedom that we could come out here and have these conversations and have our audience listen to this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think 2020 and alone, like the year alone, has been very chaotic. Mm-hmm. And we see a lot of different behaviors that, was talked about in the past that we didn't necessarily get that experience. So not everybody, got that experience to see firsthand. And, we're starting to see these behaviors, recognize these patterns of behavior. And, some people call them out, some people don't. Some people are advocating against it. Some people are advocating for it. And this age of information is just getting harder to be able to survive in. if you can't even have a conversation about simple things.
Yeah.
And I found myself to be on, like on my social media, just trying to tune out certain people and certain mindsets, because I know from my experiences is not, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not progressive in terms of like making me a better person.
Yeah.
And I'm totally for, being able to have an open conversation with someone. I'm not for being, having toxic people in my life.
Listen.
And I feel like that's totally different in terms of that.
I've been attacked on social media. Like, people would come for me on the mixed aspect. They would like say hateful things, the N-word, talk about slavery, telling us that, if you're mixed with white and black, that you're not black, like trying to take away from somebody's identity. So it's like, for mixed people, like, we get attacked on both sides. Like for me, my white side of my family, majority of them are racist. They didn't have anything to do with me and my brothers. So like and I identify more with my black side because that's who I grew up around the most. So when someone says, oh, you're not black, like, that's hurtful and that hurts people. And maybe that person felt like in white media, like white people, CEOs that make the decisions on what advertisements are published, they want to use a lighter skinned or a lighter toned person to represent the black community. I don't agree with it, but you guys have to understand that there's white people that's up there making those decisions because we look closer to that white concept. And so because of that, we have people, saying things to us like, oh, you're not black. You don't have the right to claim being black. You don't have a voice in what's going on right now. And like, those things are hurtful, not only to me, but to other people too. People that are mixed with black and Asian, people that are mixed with black and Hispanic. Like, there's just a lot of things. And people come on the page and I have to block them. I have to make sure that I'm keeping it clean. I've had people, when I feature their stories, they tell me like, can you block this person? They DM'd me and told me that I'm not mixed because they're white passing. So there are people out there that like want to bring you down and project their pain and like not wanting to understand. But trolls. I think, yes, trolls with their no avatar picture and
yeah, right.
Just
the
very
robots,
random.
The bots, yeah.
Doesn't follow, like, no one follows the page. And it's just crazy. Like, that's the world that we live in. It's COVID-19. Everybody has time. They're laid off. They're at home, and all they got to do is go on their phones. Now, you did make me feel a little bad because I do spend a lot of time on social media and like kind of contribute, but I make sure that what I'm posting isn't going to like instigate the wrong agenda, which there are some mixed pages that do that.
But that is a good thing. And that's what I applaud you for, because that's what I feel that we should be doing. Again, that's just my opinion. But a lot of businesses and media platforms, they just gain revenue off, hate. And we talked about this in Jordan's episode, how we construct controversial clips, so we can get more views on that type of post, because people like getting their blood boiled for some reason. Like they want to be upset about something. They wake up in the morning and like, all right, who am I gonna fight with today? Kind of, like, I think
they want to get that pain out. They gotta get it out. They gotta get it out.
And I feel like, to get the pain out, and it's okay to go to therapy. Like, I go to therapy.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I think that is a very helpful way to get the pain out, because you're only adding fuel to the fire if you only just keep arguing, and because it's not, I don't think it's really solving an issue. Yes, you got to have tough conversations with people, but at the same time, you got to have tough conversations with the goal to kind of bring it all together and agree, not to just blame each other and viciously attack each other. You know what I mean?
Listen, I had a 12-year-old DM me on the mixed aspect, a 12-year-old who was super confused about their skin tone and like opened with me like, I want to be like, my dad's not in my life, I'm white and black, my mom's white, I want to be white like my mom. So I was inspired by that, and also some other stories that I've heard from children, and I wrote a children's book. And in that children's book, I talk about, a child being asked what they are. Because as a mixed person, you get asked, what are you? Like, people think that I'm so many different things. And honestly, I don't really care that much anymore. But sometimes they'll ask, what are you? And I'm like, a person. I'm a person. I'm a human. So I wrote a book around that to kind of like bring some awareness, but also I'll have a children's book that is representative of a mixed child, because like Black children represented in storybooks, there's not a lot of representation of mixed people in them either. So I published that myself and sold a lot of them in Canada and Italy and what's the other country? I can't remember, but United States. And it's it's just like little things like that. So if I can inspire anyone to do anything, like if you are frustrated with something, don't project that onto another person. You know, share your story, be vulnerable. The reason why I'm where I am today started off with me sharing a very personal story, and that kind of projected me off into other things outside of the mixed aspect. So I just that's my encouragement, I guess. Is just to channel your pain somewhere else. Go to therapy. Write a book.
I'm a big fan of the mixed person because I personally don't believe in trying to keep the family Hispanic, trying to keep the family Black, trying to keep the family white. Because in a way, you are kind of setting the foundation in the child's mind that, okay, I can only bring home a person that's white. Yeah. Or Black or Hispanic. So that forces them to think differently about the other person.
Can I tell you a story about that?
Go ahead.
Listen, that happened. I had a man. He's probably my age. He looked super young, and I'm not super young. But he was basically saying, my mom is going to disown me. I love a Black woman. I love a Black woman. So I did a post, and I dedicated it to the parents that want to say you can't be with that person. I'm like, what is more important? Your relationship with your child or the fact that you want your child to be with the person that you see them with? Because what's going to happen is love always wins. Love conquers all. And that person is going to go with the person that they love. And you're going to lose that relationship with your child. And that actually got a lot of feedback on that too. A lot of positive feedback. A lot of people in that same situation, interracial couples. This thing where old school thoughts about, maintaining the purity of the race, right? Is becoming less of a thing. And people are just falling in love freely, and who cares what color they are. And the result of that is a mixed child. And there just has to be some education around that in and of itself, and don't go out setting out for a particular race because you want to have a mixed child. That's a whole different story. But yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Nick?
Bro. I hate being put on the spot, you know that, bro. Because then I automatically forget everything.
We both gave our thoughts on the mixed person, on keeping the family tradition, keeping the family Black.
I totally agree with both of you. I don't necessarily like that mindset, and talking about being vulnerable, growing up, there have been instances in which I was told that you shouldn't bring home a certain type of person because I believe the specific, what they said exactly was you shouldn't bring home that specific type of person because that is not a good look for you. Or that's not a good look for us, is what they were saying. And I was like, I remember when I was a kid, I already had that side eye. I was like,
I think it's foolish.
It is foolish, and when I hear things like that, just things that are just obviously foolish, automatically in my mind I'm like, okay, where has their education brought them? Because there's obviously a lack of education in terms of what they know. And don't get me wrong, somebody could be absolutely intelligent but be absolutely a fool at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when I say fool, I mean ignorant. And I've gone through situations where there's been people who have been a lot older than me, and I catch them, doing saying things that are just completely ignorant, and I'm like, okay, I'm 27 years old. You're maybe in your 60s already, and you're still spewing this same ignorant, bile coming out of your mouth, and I hear it all the time, even working in customer service, and I've had to have patience to be able to still talk with these people and try to hold my tongue, but at the same time in the back of my mind I'm like, I really hope the next generation of people have a little bit more patience and have a little bit more wherewithal of how they're gonna tackle these issues. And I feel like 2020 has been chaotic, yes, but there have also been different parts of 2020 that has been very encouraging. And one of those being, seeing a lot of younger people coming together for causes. And I feel like seeing those things is super important. It shouldn't be overlooked, even though the media would like to put the blame on these younger people for causing riots and things of that nature. But in reality, there's been a lot more good in terms of people peacefully protesting than bad.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you.
And I feel like the more that we get comfortable being able to talk about these issues, the better it's going to be. And I feel like that's why podcasts alone is a great platform to be able to like get different types of people. And one of the main reasons why we wanted to get you onto the show. So we're definitely happy that
we
you're
would
here.
love to partner with you on something here if you're ever hosting an event or some sort of anything in that nature.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal. I want to create more forums because like Instagram, I mean, there was a back in the day where we thought MySpace was the thing, right? We're all going to be on MySpace.
Well, one thing about MySpace, bro, MySpace was like already above and beyond in terms of getting people to learn how to code. I just want to say that.
Yes, I changed
like,
fonts, colors,
HTML
yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
Everybody's like creating things, put it on their profile, like, yo, what is that? And then they show them the code, and they're like, okay, I could do that. I could do that.
Shout out to what's his name, Tom Anderson.
Everybody's friend Tom
with that white shirt and that iconic picture.
Chris.
Yeah.
But
sorry.
No, it's okay. I just remember what I was saying. So, like, just like there was back in the day, we all thought MySpace was going to be the thing. And then, oh my God, Facebook. Mm-hmm. And then, oh my God, Instagram. But you guys are like, some people are going to turn their nose up to Instagram. So I can like build all these followers. And then Instagram the next day can be done.
Yeah.
So, like, what else can I do to make sure that this keeps growing? And I thought of forums. So getting people together to talk, parents of mixed children, mixed people who are just interested in learning about the mixed experience and what that means is definitely something that I want to do. Awesome.
Yeah, we got to plan something then for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would love to, help out, like it's got me like this thing in whole thing in 2020, just as Nick has mentioned, like I feel more good in a way than bad, and then people like to highlight the bad. Mm-hmm. But like I said, once you put your phone down, I think things are good, right? And I think we're good like having this conversation. It's got me thinking of creative ideas on like what I want to do to kind of go out there. I need to do more, to go out there and just help out like those in need, those who are struggling, those who don't have like my privileges, So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's definitely been a couple of things that I want to just highlight to make sure that our listeners remember what we were talking about. And then I remember what we were talking about. One thing that we talked about was being vulnerable and how important that was. And I feel like that's a common theme that comes up in our podcast episodes, is being able to be vulnerable because that can lead to something.
Yeah.
And I remember, Alan, where you talked about it, where when a creative person wants to step outside their comfort zone and do something, that tends to lead to better results than not stepping out of their comfort zone. That in itself is being vulnerable, and it's useful in entrepreneurship in terms of taking a risk. It's useful in so many different industries. That I wanted to highlight. But another thing I want to highlight is your book. You say you wrote a book. What's the name of the book? And tell us a little bit more
Lavender, What
about
Are You?
Lavender, What Are You?
So Lavender came from, because there was like, why did you come up with the name Lavender? Well, if you think back, I'm 29. I was born in 1990, and Matilda was the movie, right? And her friend Lavender was the very first person on screen that I saw that looked like me. So I wanted to pay homage to that. So Lavender, What Are You? It's on Amazon. And get one if you want.
I would definitely love a copy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go on it and try to get it. I've actually thought about this last night. I want to write a book.
Yeah.
But I want to write a book and then have an audiobook version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super easy to do. You don't need to, yes, if you want to have like big ticket marketing and all this, you need to go through a publishing company. But if you have an audience and you just are wanting to put something out there and see what it does, you can publish it on your own.
Yeah.
Bro, write one, bro. I'll buy it.
Yeah, I'm going to write one, and it's going to be narrated by me. And nice. It's just going to be a crazy like life type of story with like life lessons tied into it. So a self-help book that's going to be very emotional, controversial, funny, sad, joyful, all mixed in one in a way, you know?
People want that. Like, I work with students a lot, and like you ask them, what do you need? And they are like, I need motivation. I need encouragement. I need to see someone that's been in my shoes and has made it out, or who is now successful. I need to see that, because I see it all, like, these influencers, that's coming more superficial as time goes on and more influencers start coming out. So they want to hear and they want their to read stories like that. So do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Absolutely.
check yours out for sure.
That's. I totally want you to write this book, bro.
I'm gonna
Like
be
whatever you
waiting.
need, let me know. I got you.
It's gonna be deep.
I'm ready to read it, man. And you bring up a good point in terms of kids needing that role model in essence. Because I remember when I was younger, someone asked me, "Who's your role model?" And anytime I get asked that question, I have blank answers. Yes, there's great people out there, but when I'm like, as I was growing up, I was like, there's not really anybody that looks like me, kind of talks like me, or is in the same position that I was in, that I can look up to and like, yeah, I want to be just like that person.
Yeah.
And I like what was instilled in me as I grew up was like, okay, I kind of want to make myself into that person for like, my nieces and nephews to be able to look up to so that they can be like, okay, he's a positive example of somebody that's made it out of the situation, that's doing something that they wanted to do, and is making some sort of positive impact in the lives of other people. And I just feel like it's really important to have a good role model. So I wanted to ask you if you have any particular role models.
Do I have any role models? Wow. I think I really like the people that I really look up to, Michelle Obama, because I not only from her first lady aspect, but everything that she's been able to do from that. She didn't let that define her. And then also Meghan Markle and all of her humanitarian efforts. I think that, she's projected now as like Prince Henry's wife, Duchess, American princess. But there's a lot of things that she did before she met Harry. And even now still is doing a lot of great things for children. So those two women especially. Yeah.
Do you feel like we need stronger fathers in the household to motivate the kids more, to get them, tailored towards a better life? Do you believe in that?
I think that both parents play a very vital role in the lives of their children. Particularly with fathers, I think that there's just this complex that they need to have it all figured out. And what we see a lot of boys doing is they're not applying for college. They're not, because they don't want the stigma. Oh, like if I don't do good, then people are not going to like me because this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm not going to, go to conquer this dream because I don't think it's realistic for me. Nobody's encouraging me to do it. So they get involved in other things. They become angry. They resort to drugs and like alcohol. And like you find all of these broken families. And unfortunately, that's becoming normal nowadays. So I think the real question that we need to ask ourselves is what can we do to motivate our boys to be better and want to be better? Because right now, they're not applying for college. They're not applying for scholarships. They're not wanting to do anything. They think that, there's this concept, they see successful men as being athletes or actors or rappers. So, that's what they're going for. And they're not really seeing themselves in other types of professions. And there's people out there. I mean, like, look at you guys. Perfect example. But to answer your question, yes, everybody needs a father in their life. Everybody needs to know that they're loved and accepted as a young person, because by the age of 5, that's when you're starting to form all your mental components of what people are and who people are. So if you were missing or you felt a sense of abandonment or fear or lack of love at that young age, you're going to have that, going against you your entire life, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, I like how you answered the beginning of the question, to having both parents there, like having both strong parents, because you could also have both parents, but if they're not strong parents, then you're most likely your kid is not going to, have great values. You know what I mean? And I think overall, even if you're a single dad, it would be helpful if you had a mom in the house as well. I think, you know, and I do like the fact, like, yes, I think we do need more, stronger families in the household to kind of like break those stereotypes, that
especially in the mixed household, because if you have a race that you're solely identified with, but you're another race and you don't ever see that or interact with that culture, you're going to grow up very confused. And you're going to grow up identifying with the race that you were with the most. And people are going to, oh, well, yeah, you're Black and Asian, but you act more Asian. So are you really Black? And that confusion that can come up with a person, and just the self-doubt, the self-consciousness, and everything that follows after that.
But how dare somebody try to strip away your race and your culture?
But they do.
Right?
Yeah,
Like, how
yeah.
dare you do that? How dare you just say, you know what? Today, you are not black.
Oh, they do that.
Today, you are not white.
Yes.
Like, who are they to say that?
Yeah.
That to me, that just is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Bro, every time you say something, for some reason today I'm blanking out. I knew exactly what I wanted to follow up
It's
on.
like really deep.
Do I put too much pressure on? I'm just kidding.
But I wanted to make a point as well. In terms of, you know what, I lost it, bro. I lost it. But anyways, what were we talking about?
No, so well, let's say no. I really like what you're doing. I like what you're doing. I think we need more people out there who are kind of like using social media like that as a good thing. And I just wish one day, and I hope a day comes to where, you know, all the views and all the revenue comes through things positively than negatively.
Yeah.
You know, and and that's another thing that's gonna take a long time too, because that negative thing, man, it gets people talking.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets like, you know what, let me go back to CNN and Fox and kind of like see what else they're posting about Donald Trump and Joe Biden, you know, like, and by the way, this is not a Make America Great Again hat. So like, this is
like St. Louis hat.
St. Louis. It's a St. Louis hat, all right? So don't be scared.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer, all right? But yeah, I just hope we get to that point one day.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like we could definitely talk about these issues all day. I know it gets me fired up every time we talk about these things. But I also wanted to touch on any other projects that you're working on.
No, I think like with COVID happening, I mean, I am definitely a working woman. I do a lot of things, and my main goal is just to make people feel good about themselves and give them the motivation and encouragement that they need to conquer their dreams and their aspirations, because without it, I mean, our world is going to suck.
Yes.
And who wants to grow up in a sucky world?
No one.
Facts. no one.
There's already enough people growing up with a perception that this world sucks.
Yes.
We don't need any more.
And all it takes is one person. Like, like every successful person, they're like, oh, well, you know, racism isn't a thing. We had a black president. Well, let's just like dissect that a little bit. I'm sure if you really ask Barack Obama why he's successful, he's going to talk about one person in his life who made him believe that he was going to be successful. Mm-hmm. So like, can you be that person in somebody's life? And that's my ultimate goal, is to be that person.
Nick, do you love the world right now?
Do I love the world right now?
Do you love the world that you live in?
Bro, it's...
that breath.
You hear my sigh, my stressful sigh. Because in my mind, I want to love the world. You know, I do. I really do. And then there's a logical side to me that just knows I'm like, okay, there's a lot of people out there that's kind of like messing the world up. And then there's me having to struggle, like, how am I going to help protect the people that I love the most from these people who obviously want to see the world burn? And then there's a part of me that's like, you know what? Put your phone away. Don't think about anything. Ignorance is bliss, you know? But it's a constant struggle to find that, you know, that positive, you know, thing. And I feel like every day that I wake up, when I do find that positive thing, it's a great day. And I'm having more great days than bad days. So I would say right now, I love everybody in the world.
Malaina, what about you?
I am a lover, not a fighter. I think that no matter how crazy the world is, there's a level of responsibility that we all have to take for that. And so what can we do with that responsibility to help change it? Even if it's little, like, even if it's like, you know, sometimes when I go and I visit schools, I give out stickers that say you matter. And I say, give this to somebody random today. And just like that little gesture can like stop someone from contemplating suicide. Like it's just that intense. So I love the world. And I feel like no matter how bad the world is, no matter what the outcome is next month, I mean, there's something that we can find beautiful in all of our lives. And we just have to focus on that thing. Focus on what we're passionate about and put more energy into that and then into all like the negative stuff.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
I love the world, man. I love the world I live in. And I'm very grateful to have everything, you know, that has, you know, come my way. And I have a lot of things that a lot of people don't. You know, like I took a trip to Nicaragua this year. And, man, it's poor out there, man. It's poor. And they're under a dictatorship, honestly. And, you know, it makes me realize, you know, what I have here, you know. And they were still happy out there. There were still kids out there playing soccer on the street. there are still kids juggling stuff on the street. When there's a red light for money, they're washing people's cars, or for money, and they're okay with it. And if they're okay with that, being in the scorching hot sun, getting nickels and pennies, for hard labor work, like, what do I got to be mad about, honestly, And yes, there are definitely issues that we have here in the United States and in the world. And I'm excited to take part in trying to fix those issues later in my life and, throughout my life. And yeah, I'm grateful and blessed for those opportunities. And right now, I'm very content.
Wonderfully said, sir.
Yeah,
Wonderfully said.
good.
And you know what's funny? I just remembered what I was going to say earlier like that. But now it doesn't flow in the conversation anymore. But anyway.
You can just say it, bro. Just say it, man.
I was going to say that I think that it was back when we were talking about single parents. I wanted to just say that I think single parents are like one of the most like strongest people that I've ever encountered, because to be able to raise a child by yourself with no help is like the hardest thing anybody can ever do, because you're in control of a life. And I hate to like kind of compare it to like having a dog, and it's a horrible comparison.
I mean, it's fair.
But it is also a life that you're in control of.
Yes.
And I feel like just me having a dog, it changed my life completely, because I can't be that selfish young, Nicholas that I once was. I have to be like, okay, I have to give my time over to this animal that loves me. And I feel like if I'm struggling with my own dog, I can't imagine having a child. Mm-hmm. And I just want to salute all the single parents out there, because it's super hard to be one. And to be able to raise a good human being nowadays is starting to become a really tall task. And I just salute everybody that's out there doing it.
As a single parent, I appreciate that so much. And I know like anybody else listening will definitely support that and appreciate that, because I was like, yeah, thank you. The respect level that we have like towards single parents like is just through the roof. Mm-hmm. Like, because I know how, like, I don't have kids, but I have nieces, and man, that's tough. Mm-hmm. That is tough, because they just can't comprehend exactly what you're thinking. You have to go down to their level, and you got to have that patience, and you don't have anybody to kind of support that, right next to you. So, Malaina, salute to you. Honestly, seriously, like.
And we do have a tradition here on our show. As the last question, we ask our guests to give a toast to the people of Southwest Florida. So we're gonna ask you the same thing. You ready for it?
Yes.
Okay. So if you can give a toast to the people of Southwest Florida, what words of encouragement would you like to leave them?
So I would like to encourage all of the people in Southwest Florida to go after what it is that you want. There's going to be people that try to stop you, but that's a part of the process. You will not get to whatever it is that you want to do without getting around those people. So start thinking of how you're going to navigate that now before you even get to that point. And be vulnerable. Like, it's okay not to know what it is that you want to do with your life right now. It is okay to be sad and to cry. It's okay to go through a bad relationship and get a heartbreak situation, because you're going to overcome that. You're going to overcome every obstacle there is. And I promise you, there is light on the other side. The hardest thing is to start. So all you have to do is start. And from there, it's easy and it gets better. And if you ever need any type of encouragement, any type of inspiration, I encourage you to reach out to me. And I'm happy to do whatever I can to help you.
Speaking of reaching out to you, where can they reach out to you? How can they find you?
I am on Instagram, Facebook, The Mixed Aspect. And from there, you can find my personal page, Malaina Mote.
Awesome. Great toast, by the way.
Yeah, that was top 5.
Top notch. You looked at the camera and everything.
Yeah,
they're going to feel you.
Oh, was I supposed to? Okay, good. Like, was I supposed to
she wasn't rehearsed.
I felt jealous, by the way, that she didn't give us attention. She gave y'all attention, but it's okay.
I was just assuming that I was supposed to look at that. Okay.
No,
but it's definitely been a pleasure having you on, and we got to get you back on. You're now a part of the Goodfellas family.
Oh, yeah.
So
thank you.
We appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Anything else you want to say, sir?
Nothing much, man. Just have a good night, stay safe, and stop canceling people out.
Yeah, man. What's the problem with y'all?
Seriously, come on, y'all. Like, it's serious, but it's not to the point where, you need to, completely degrade somebody. Like, we're all human beings at the end of the day. We have different opinions and different life experiences. So let's just keep working to solve the issues, and let's just have an open heart.
Absolutely. And we out. Peace.
Peace.